Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarharine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarharine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Jaya Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Jaya Nitai Sachisundara Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev Jai Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Padittanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Padittanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ananda Goti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Ki Jai Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Welcome Amit back. Welcome another Amit. Welcome Amrita Radhimadaji Rituan, hopefully. Prabhu Jayanti Pai, Hare Krishna, and Prakash from Delhi. Prakash, are you in Lucknow or in Delhi?
I'm from Delhi. I'm traveling from Kanpur.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you for joining us tonight, everyone. Is Rituan Prabhu there, Amrita Radhe Mataji?
No, Prabhu, he hasn't joined in yet. He will
He
come
hasn't?
in a while.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Is Padma here?
No, he is spending some time with his grandmother.
Okay.
So,
On Saturday, remind me. If you want to, you don't have to. Remind me, it would be nice if Padma's chanting some Sanskrit verses, Bhagavad Gītā verses or whatever, or sings or chants something. If he wants to, and if you want to, but you remind me.
Sure, Prabhuji.
That would be
Okay,
nice. Like he did once. That was nice. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Let's jump in. Bhagavad Gītā workshop, Bhagavad Gītā discussion. Anyone comes up with a verse? What verse shall we discuss tonight? Any suggestion? That was your homework. Don't wait for anybody else. Just, if you have a verse in mind, just say it. Who has done his homework? Amit, what about you? You're on top of the list. Have you been reading Bhagavad Gītā this week?
Sorry, Prabhu. No, I haven't. Sorry.
You were distracted by so many things.
Maybe
Have you
we
been?
can discuss. Maybe we can discuss. Chapter 267.
267. Jai Hare Krishna. Let's see. Let's share screen first of all. Amit, do you want to chant that Sanskrit?
Yes, Prabhu, I can do that.
Okay, go ahead. With Om Namo, of course.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Indrayanam Hai Charatam.
Not high, not like the English. High. He.
Hi Charatam Yan Mano Nuvidya Yete Tat Asya Aditi Prajnam Vaya Navam Ivam Basi.
Okay, pretty nice. Thank you.
Translation. A strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water. Even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses and carry away a mind's intelligence. Purport. Unless all of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaging sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement, as measured in the life of Maharaja Ambarista. All the senses must engage in Krishna consciousness, but that is the correct technique for controlling the mind.
Jai Hare Krishna. Short purport, but a beautiful verse
Yes,
you have selected.
Short purport. Huh?
Okay, thank you. Translation again. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Intelligence is very important, because if our intelligence is carried away, then we have no direction to steer the boat, because the intelligence is giving us direction. There are two kinds of intelligence. There is material intelligence and there is spiritual intelligence. Material intelligence is trying to find out where is something nice to touch, where is something nice to taste, where is something nice to see, some beautiful form, to hear, to smell. So the material intelligence is just seeking after sense gratification. after satisfaction of the senses. Only. That's material intelligence. And the whole world is based on that principle. Everybody tries. What is everybody trying? Where is money? Where is money? What do you need the money for? For sense gratification, for eating better, for sleeping better, for mating better, and so on, and so on, and for touching nice things, and for tasting nice things. And so that's material intelligence. The whole world is consumed by this material intelligence. That is a goal of life. And nowadays it's just money, because money can facilitate the satisfaction of the senses. There is a very nice class of Srila Prabhupada, Atma Tattva, a memory of Srila Prabhupada. Atma Tattva, he just took initiation from Srila Prabhupada. And then in the next morning class, Srila Prabhupada is saying, material life is an infection. I think I have sent out that video, and you might have listened to that. So material life is an infection. And then Srila Prabhupada put his arm out, and he said, you scratch, and you feel satisfaction. And you scratch more, and you feel some satisfaction. And you scratch more, and you stop. Not because you're satisfied, but because blood comes. So Atma Tattva tells it very nice, so exactly like that. That's material life. The senses are like an itch. It's itching. We're itching to satisfy the eyes, the tongue, the touch of the skin. It's an itch. So we scratch by trying to satisfy, give the senses what they're screaming out for. Give me some nice form to see. I will be satisfied. Give me something nice, soft to touch. Generally, a woman's body or a man's body. That is the top, nicest thing we think to touch. Give me something nice to touch, something nice to taste. I will be happy. And we see something nice, we touch something nice, we taste something nice, we feel satisfaction, and we want more. And we feel some satisfaction. Not anymore like the first time. As explained last week, I think, the candle burns down. Everything is getting finished in this material world. You drive a car, so more you drive, so more your tires wearing down. There is not a tire which lasts eternally. So it's the same as a candle and the car tire, our senses wearing out. So we scratch, we feel satisfaction. We scratch again. We feel only some satisfaction. And we scratch again and we stop because blood comes. Blood comes means we are completely disappointed with material life. The senses don't give that satisfaction anymore, which they used to give. And we're searching for more, for more, for more. But it doesn't work like that. So that's material intelligence. We're running after that object, which the mind thinks, if I make contact with that object of sight, of sound, of taste, of smell, of touch, I will be satisfied. But we're not. We're a bit satisfied, and then less satisfied, and we have to, the stimulus has to become stronger. To keep the same level of excitement, the stimulus has to become stronger and stronger and stronger, and there's a limit to all of this. And then blood comes. We are frustrated. We are completely finished, because we cannot satisfy the senses anymore. And last week explained, old person, old man, old woman. When I was young, we did this and that. In the mind, they're enjoying when the senses were fully functioning. And in old age, they don't get any satisfaction from the senses anymore. The body is deteriorating so quickly. And that's not only when we're 90 years old, even 80, 70, 60, 50. Srila Prabhupada says old age starts with 50. That means we are mostly in old age already. We think, no, that's not possible. That I don't want to hear that. Well, old age starts at 50. The body deteriorates. In fact, the body deteriorates from the moment we are born. Our time is used up. Our lifetime is just like the candle or the car tires. You get used up. And the more we engage in sense gratification, the more this candle burns down, so quicker this candle burns down. So, material intelligence. Now the question could be asked, what is then spiritual intelligence? Spiritual intelligence, if one is fixed in the instructions of Bhagavad Gītā and Srimad Bhagavatam, instruction of one spiritual master, then spiritual intelligence is to seek out, how can I serve Krishna? How can I dovetail everything I do with Krishna? How can I bring Krishna into my life? Not only 1 hour, 2 hours a week, but 24 hours every day, 7 days a week. How can I connect everything with Krishna? How can I see Krishna in everyone and everything all the time? That's called Krishna consciousness. If someone is Krishna conscious, truly advanced in Krishna consciousness, he can see Krishna everywhere, in everything, because Krishna is everywhere and he is in everything. He's even in the atom. Vishnu Murti, Vishnu form, is in each and every atom. So how can anything be without Krishna? Krishna is in nature. Krishna is in the stones, on the ground, in the pebbles, in the grass, in the birds, in the bees, in the dogs, in the everywhere. The fish in the water. Krishna is there everywhere. In the heart of all living entities and in the atoms of everything material. So everywhere. But we are forgetful. We want to be forgetful that we are here. Therefore we are here. We want to forget Krishna because we want to enjoy Krishna's energy without Krishna. Without Krishna. That's why we're here. And Krishna consciousness means enjoying with Krishna. 1,000,000 times greater enjoyment with Krishna. And we enjoying with Krishna, we're going back to Krishna. Enjoying without Krishna, we take birth again and again and again in different forms, in different species of life. Again and again, millions and millions of times, we're circling around her. Birth, death, old age, disease, that is the fruit we get, the result of repeated incarnating in different species. So spiritual intelligence contains the instructions of Shastra and the spiritual master. Prakash is gone. It's getting late in Delhi. So the instructions, we have to internalize. We're reading. Amit is reading 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gītā. And others reading Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gītā. So by hearing, like today, this beautiful verse, by hearing, by reading, so many instructions. This verse, so many instructions, and this just this one verse. So these instructions we have to internalize, we have to remember, sharpen our intelligence. Our spiritual intelligence gets sharpened. Like a knife, we sharpen a knife with a steel and or some some knife sharpener you can buy, and you pull the knife through and through again and again and again. After 10 or 20 times, you're pulling the knife over the steel or the knife sharpener. It becomes very sharp. So with hearing again and chanting, of course, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So with hearing and chanting, our intelligence gets sharpened. We can discriminate. Like the knife can cut through the potato or tomato, whatever. So the intelligence can cut through everything. And we can distinguish. This is helping me in my spiritual journey, and this is hindering me. Whatever helps us, brings us closer to Krishna, we accept. Whatever pulls us away from Krishna, we reject. So our intelligence becomes very sharp by this Krishna conscious process. Very sharp. We can distinguish what is spiritual, what is material. Sometimes people don't understand what is spiritual, what is material, what does it mean? How is it possible? You put material foodstuff cooked with material ingredients of potatoes, of beans, of dal, of rice, of so many vegetables. This is all material. You cook that and you put it, and the fire you cook it is also material. And you put that on a plate. And you put that on the altar, you close the curtain, you say some prayers, you open the curtain, and suddenly it has become prasadam, spiritual. How is it possible? Something material has suddenly, within 10, 15 minutes, become spiritual. Sometimes we don't really understand what does it mean to be spiritual. Well, there is a very easy definition. Anything in connection with Krishna is spiritual. And we heard it a million times. Krishna, his name, Krishna is spiritual. His name is spiritual. His pastimes is spiritual. His paraphernalia, the bell, the ghee lamp, the flower plates, the flowers is spiritual. So anything in connection with Krishna is spiritual. So we putting that material, seemingly material food in front of Krishna, and we pray. And we're connecting it. Krishna, you eat it first. You taste it first. It's for you. I cooked it for you. While I'm cooking this prasadam, I had no thought at all of enjoying it. I didn't think how nice that will taste. I only thought how nice it will taste for you, Krishna. I'm offering it to you, so that you will be satisfied. What to speak of me tasting that prasadam while cooking, that is a no-no. We don't taste, or is there enough salt in how? Like people generally, they taste while they're cooking, they're tasting. Well, let me taste how it comes along, if potatoes are cooked and so on. No, we don't do that, because we're cooking for Krishna, entirely for his satisfaction. We wouldn't think of taking some bite of the chapati and then offer it to Krishna. That's a different thing. The Goward boys may do that in Sakiras. We are far away from that. So we bring that foodstuff in contact with Krishna by offering it, and it becomes spiritual. So anything in contact with Krishna is spiritual. So this verse gives a nice example. A strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water. We have seen that. A storm, a strong wind. The boat may be tied up, but a strong wind comes and it sweeps the boat away. What to speak of a tsunami? We have seen and heard reports. Then the ships they are swept inland. Half a mile, ship is dumped somewhere on on a hill or something, far away from the ocean. So a tsunami can sweep the boats, the ships away, even big ships. So a strong wind can sweep a boat away on the water. So that is an example. The wind is strong enough, the boat is swept away. So even one of the roaming senses, very interesting, roaming senses. What does that mean? We're roaming in the countryside. Means we're walking here and there and roaming and roaming around everywhere. Not just one path, but one to the left, to the right, or everywhere. This path, that path, we're roaming in the countryside. So our senses are also roaming. They're constantly roaming, looking around for the object of satisfaction. We can check ourselves. Check ourselves. Let's say we are driving in the car. We're driving through the city. Where are the eyes going? The eyes should be just on the street, yes, but they're not on the street. The eyes looking on the pavement. Or is there a handsome boy? Is there a beautiful girl? The eyes want to be satisfied by that kind of beauty constantly. It's very difficult. The eyes are constantly there, searching for the opposite sex, constantly looking. And even finding, even turning the head around in a dangerous way and the eyes away from the road. There have been many stories where a man driving the car and he looks for a beautiful girl and he's crashing the car. He doesn't see the car in front of him is braking. But just by roaming, the senses are roaming, they're out of control. They're just going everywhere. Not only the eyes are roaming, the tongue is roaming, all the touch, all the senses are constantly kind of running away from us and wanting this sense gratification. So therefore, this example, this word is used, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses. Now that is important. The mind is focusing always on something. And we had a verse, I think, Amit, you, yes, some weeks ago, you suggested that. By contemplating the object of the senses. Right? That verse, by contemplating we develop attachment for them. Yes, please.
Prabhu, that verse, Dhayato Vishayan Pungsha.
Yes, say it. Yes, say it.
Dhayato Vishayan Pungsha, Sangasteshu Upajayate, Sangat Sanjayate, Kama, Kamat, Krodha Vijayate, Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha, Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama, Smriti Bhangshat Buddhinasha, Buddhinashat Pranashati.
Oh, you are good. I don't know the Sanskrit of this. Oh, you are very good. I'm very impressed. Thank you. That's very good. Amit, you should also learn some verses. Even one verse. The easiest is obviously Sarva Dharma Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So, translation, return. While contemplating the object.
Dhayato Vishayan Pungsha means like while contemplating on the objects, Sangasteshu Upajayate, like we feel, one feels like getting association of those sense objects. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. So on associating with those objects, like we develop this desire or Kamat Krodha Vijayate. When this desire is not fulfilled, it turns into anger. Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha means when anger comes, we are eluded. Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama. Smriti Vibhrama means like we lose all memories, I think, like Smriti Vibhrama. Smriti Bhangshat Buddhi Nasho. We lose intelligence and Buddhi Nashat Pranashati. And ultimately there is like utter destruction, devastation.
Yes, we have at length talked about this verse. The whole Wednesday session we have dedicated. I'm sure we remember all of it. So, same here. If the mind focuses, the roaming senses, and the mind focuses on even one of the senses. It can carry away someone's intelligence. It's discrimination. He forgets that everything is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, not for our enjoyment. Even one sense can pull us away. Well, that gives us a kind of idea how strong these senses are. In particular, the mind. Therefore, it's so important. The mind has to be trained by higher intelligence, by spiritual intelligence. Then the mind is not anymore our worst enemy. It becomes our best friend, because the intelligence is just keeping the reins of the mind like a jockey keeps the reins of the horses. I have personal experience. Long time ago in Wales, I believe so it was. We were with a group and we did some horse riding. And I've never been on a horse. And you get the reins. And the horse, you keep the reins very, very strong. You pull the reins and the horse will walk. But then the horse was a bit strong and he pulled the reins out of my hand and it went down and eating grass. I took the reins again and I couldn't get that horse to walk again because the reins were not pulled strongly enough, were not controlling the horse. Horses need quite a strong control. It's not just like a cat or a dog. They're very strong animals. So if the mind, if the intelligence, it loses control over the mind, and the mind focuses on one of the roaming senses, then we are in a very precarious situation. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, unless the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. So that's a workaround. If the senses are engaged in Krishna's service, that's a completely different situation. We have spoken about the example, the monkey stole your shoes and you throw him a banana and he takes a banana and lets the shoes go. That's the only way to get your shoes back. No any other way. Even if you climb the trees and he jumps to the next tree, no chance. So, if the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, they cannot be engaged. It's impossible that the senses can be engaged in the service of the Lord, and at the same time, they are engaged in materialistic activities. Both things cannot go together. Even one of them, the senses, engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. So what to do? We discussed that all in that verse, contemplating the object of the senses. One has to stop the mind at the early stage. One moment, I have to drink something. So one has to stop the mind of developing attachment. The mind is contemplating a little bit too long. Too long. Again, take that example. That beautiful woman walks there, not the handsome man. And there was one devotee, I don't know where he got that from. He said, you're allowed to look 3 times, but not more. Maybe 3 times is even too much. So you look. But you looking a little bit too long, too much. And immediately within the heart, there is some attachment coming up. Because the eyes are getting satisfied by a beautiful form. But then there's some attachment there. And then some more, this attachment is not controlled, then we're going down a very dangerous path, because then everything goes automatically. While contemplating the objects, we develop attachment for them. And then lust develops. Lust means I want that object of the senses. I want it. Or let's say the tongue, by looking at some pictures even of dishes. Already our mouth is watering. Looking at the menu, then lust develops. Yes, I must eat that. Let's go to the restaurant. Let's go to the shop. So, engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, that is a secret. As mentioned in the life of Maharaj Ambarish, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is a correct technique for controlling the mind. So it's a technique if the senses are engaged. Now, Amrita Radhimataji or Rituan, tell us the story of Maharaj Ambarish. How did he engage all his senses, right? How did he engage them in the service of the Lord?
Prabhu, he would walk to the places of pilgrimages.
Yep.
He would clean with his hands, he would clean the temple of the Lord. With his nose, he would smell the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
And his ears, through his ears, he was hearing the holy names and the glories of the Supreme Lord. And through his body, he would embrace the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord.
Arrival.
And yeah, these are the ones I remember. I'm sure he was honoring prasadam also with his tongue.
Yes, very good. Thank you so much. So we may not be able to come to 28 Abington Road every day, morning and afternoon, and clean the temple. That would be nice. We have done it. I remember when we were all together, Rituan had this long stick with dusting, taking the cobwebs down and so on. Yes, from time to time, we can do some Maha cleanup, but that might not be that practical. We can do that every day, maybe in the morning and in the afternoon, or even seeing the deity in the temple every day. Of course, people do that. They're going to the temple every day, once a day. But therefore, you should have some altar at home. Very important. Devotees must do, particular householders, must do some deity worship at home. And we mentioned that last week. Once we do some deity worship at home, then the attraction for cinema is completely disappearing. Because why we need cinema when we have the beautiful form of the Lord right in front of us? They're decorating the Lord. The eyes are getting so much satisfied by seeing the form of the Lord. Nicely decorated, nicely dressed. So, but again, what is practical? We can hear by chanting Hare Krishna, keeps the mind engaged. Or chanting like we talked last week, Rituan, chanting on your way to work, on the bus, and on another bus until you reach the hospital. Keep chanting, keep engaged the mind. And not keeping engaged the mind, keep engaged the tongue and the lips, and perhaps the ears. Or if there are too many people around, just the mind. That's why Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyachimam namaskar. Always think of me. Always chant my name. Always. Not just 1 hour, 2 hours a day. Always. So if the mind is constantly focused on the Lord, And the Lord means the Lord's name, because the name is not different from the Lord. So if we keep chanting Hare Krishna all the time, then immediately said the senses want to go for some material sense gratification. That is minimized, reduced, massively reduced. If we can do that, so that's a medicine. That's a trick, the technique to use, the easiest technique, much easier than going to the temple and cleaning the temple and using the legs to walk into the temple, using the hands of washing the floors, and so on and so on. There we are far away from the temple and we have to work. But we taking our mind and our tongue and our lips with us wherever we go. So we can chant wherever we go. Keeps that mind focused on Krishna, and that mind will not focus on anything else. So Ambarishi engaged all his senses. If we can, of course, we know the mind is the center of all these senses. If it's not practical, if it's not possible to engage the eyes of seeing the Lord constantly means all the time, 24 hours. It will be difficult to walk around with a picture. We can try. Walk around with a picture of Krishna. Walk on the street and always a picture there. Look a little bit ahead and then again picture, having that picture. So that might be difficult. But hearing our chanting, even that might be difficult in some certain circumstances. But remembering Krishna and softly chanting Krishna's name, of hearing it, or lip chanting, and the mind is focused on Krishna, that we can do everywhere. Everywhere. So that example of Maharaj Ambarish is a very famous example, engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord. And as just mentioned, the mind is the center of the senses. So if we engage the mind in the service of the Lord, then automatically all the senses are also engaged in the service of the Lord. And that supreme, most important verse of Bhagavad Gītā, Manmana Bhava Mat Bhakto, always think of me. In fact, greatest principle, if you want to reduce Krishna consciousness just to 2 points, then 1 point would be always remember Krishna. And the second point was never forget him. That's the essence of Krishna consciousness. Consciousness, conscious of Krishna. 24 hours. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And we have spoken many times, how the great Vaishnavas, the great devotees like Haridas Thakur and others, their ultimate prayer is ultimate boon they're asking from the Lord. And the ultimate prayer, please, I don't want anything, but just give me one thing. I will always remember you. I don't even mind, my Lord, if you put me in a body of a dog, if you put me in this body, that body, it doesn't matter. But please, whichever body you put me next time around, let me always remember you. That would be important. Let me always remember you. So that's the goal of Krishna consciousness. And here we have just mentioned some practical tips. Anyone has any question or comment?
Prabhu, in the screen that you're sharing, there is a link for surrender unto me.
Yes.
Can we also read what's there in that link and discuss that also?
Yes, we can. You know what that is, surrender unto me?
I think it's a book by His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu.
Yes, exactly. So, while it doesn't give much more, but can you read it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
The verse again. Yes.
As a boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. A mind surrendered to the urges of the senses carries away a man's discrimination. His intelligence will thus be stolen by the unfavorable winds of his uncontrolled senses. The senses, however, once subdued, create favorable breezes.
Oh, isn't that nicely expressed? Very poetic. Very nice. Purichan Prabhu Ki Jai. Very nice. Very nice. Discrimination. That is intelligence. And the mind discriminating. Constantly. The mind is, with the help of the intelligence, is constantly discriminating. This is good for me, this is not good. We do that all the time, discriminating. This is good, this is not good. So spiritual discrimination, this will help me in Krishna's service, in advancing my Krishna consciousness, this will not help me. Like that, constantly. So therefore, Burichan Prabhu writes here, the senses carry away a man's discrimination. We cannot discriminate anymore. Intelligence will be stolen by unfavorable winds. How nice is that? Unfavorable winds. The winds, when you're on a sailboat, it can be unfavorable. They're coming from the wrong side. Unfavorable winds. You want to go to America, and the wind is blowing the other way. So what do you have to do? You can do some zigzag in the wind, catching a little bit of that wind and moving forward, or you can just sit it out, sails down and wait until the unfavorable wind is gone. But when the senses are subdued, then a favorable breeze will come, the breeze of Krishna consciousness. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, let's have a look back and go a little further. In the next verse, Krishna is saying, as a conclusion, therefore, O mighty armed Arjuna, one whose senses are restrained from the objects is certainly of steady intelligence. Restrained. Don't let the senses run after the objects. Restrain. We restrain our senses. We don't say, don't eat. We don't deny the senses, but we say, don't eat meat, fish, and eggs. They're restrained, they're controlled. We don't say, in uncheckable lusty desires with the opposite sex. We don't let the senses go wild in all like cats and dogs. No, we say get married. That's a restraint. Get married. We don't say don't eat, but don't eat meat, fish, and eggs, and offer you food as prasadam, then you take. So these are all restraints. And someone who can restrain the senses like that And that is a process. We're learning to do that. Then he has steady intelligence. Amrita, do you want to read that purport, please?
Okay, Prabhuji. One can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As enemies are curbed by superior force, the senses can similarly be curbed, not by any human endeavor, but only by keeping them engaged in the service of the Lord. One who has understood this, that only by Krishna consciousness is one really established in intelligence, and that one should practice this art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, is called sadhaka, or a suitable candidate for liberation.
Say something about that purport. Elaborate a bit.
Actually, Prabhu, I kind of remember a story of which I read in Back to Godhead magazine of a Maharashtrian man. So he was writing that his father was a very devout Vaishnav. He would worship Tulsi Maharani, read Bhagavad Gītā again. Every day, I mean, Bhagavad Gītā every day. But this person who was, he was very against everything. He would go out and drink. The son, basically, the person I'm talking about, he would drink. He started drinking and he started eating meat. So his father was very sad and he was really upset. So, however, this man got married eventually, and there was a little bit of struggle also with his relationship, because his wife was also kind of very pious, and she also wanted, a simple Krishna-centric life. But this person was completely agitated, and he always wanted to eat meat and drink and everything. But then one day, out of distress, his father passed away. And that was like a piercing sword in his heart, because even though when his father was alive, he didn't realize how much he was attached to his father. So when his father went away, he felt very, very distressed. So, but then he would miss him. So one day what he did was he took his wine bottle and offered it to Krishna. and just like, because I want to drink it, I want to offer it to Krishna. And then he opened the Bhagavad Gītā, which he had wrapped in a red cloth after his father passed away, just out of distress, because he was missing him. He was angry that why did Krishna take him away? And he started reading. And seeing this, his wife kind of sparked, or kind of she would also cook some prasadam, or in some way she also kind of pushed him a little by little, very gently, and then eventually he was able to give up alcohol, his non-vegetarian food habits, and then he started also preaching in his small village. So connecting this story back to this purport, like how Prabhupada writes here, one can curb the forces of sense gratification, the deep desire to eat meat and drink alcohol, only by means of Krishna consciousness. Once he started connecting to Krishna little by little, he was transformed, and then his senses were in his control.
Jai Haribol, beautiful story. Thank you, Amrita Radha Mataji. Hare Krishna. Welcome, Ben. That is a surprise. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Stay. We do another 15 minutes, maybe. Nice to see you amongst devotees here. I wanted to mention at the beginning, I forgot about it. We might think we are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6 with me, devotees here. But actually our YouTube channel, we have subscribers, almost 1,300 subscribers. So even if half of them, because the subscribers, as soon as we publish putting out a new video recording us, and they get notification. So even if half of those subscribers look at our sessions, that means 500 people. We have lots of hits on the different recordings. So people are watching. We are not alone. We are not just a few. We are hundreds who following up. They may not be here live, but they listen to the recordings. So just a thought. So basically we preaching to 1,300 people from all different backgrounds and so on. So, yes, we're just studying that beautiful verse, Ben, of a boat is easily be swept away by a wind. So one of the roaming senses can pull away, carry away the mind, the intelligence of the living entity. And then we went to the next verse, which just was this verse. Namrita Radhi told us a beautiful story. And then it's a famous verse which Amit brought up 2-3 weeks ago, very nicely. What is night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is a night for the introspective sage. We have deeply discussed this verse, and it was kind of a mystery. When you look at that verse, it's a kind of a mystery. What does it mean? And we have all very nicely analyzed it. So it's the same theme, the senses, controlling the senses. And as Amrita Radha Rituan, Prabhu brought up just maybe 2 weeks ago, by contemplating the object of the senses, one develops attachment for them. So this verse we have also done. And if we go further, just to get what is Krishna saying in that same. Now Krishna is just doing, looking at the opposite. If someone is not controlling the senses, maybe we take that verse just in context. Ben, you want to read that Sanskrit and the verse, or just the verse without the Sanskrit? What do you feel? Or not at all?
What number of verse this is?
That is 270.
270. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sa santim apnotina kamakami. Translation. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being fulfilled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Purport.
Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Although the vast ocean is always filled with water, it is always, especially during the rainy season, being filled with much more water. But the ocean remains the same, steady. It is not agitated, nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink. That is also true of a person fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one has the material body, the demands of the body for sense gratification will continue. The devotee is not disturbed by such desires because of his fullness. A Krishna conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. Therefore, he is like the ocean, always full in himself. Desires may come to him like the waters of the rivers that flow into the ocean, but he is steady in his activities, and he is not even slightly disturbed by desires for sense gratification. That is the proof of a Krishna conscious man. One who has lost all inclinations for material sense gratification, although the desires are present, because he remains satisfied in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can remain steady like the ocean, and therefore enjoy full peace. Others, however, who want to fulfill desires, even up to the limit of liberation, what to speak of material success, never attain peace. The fruitive workers, the salvationists, and also the yogis who are after mystic powers are all unhappy because of unfulfilled desires. But the person in Krishna consciousness is happy in the service of the Lord, and he has no desire to be fulfilled. In fact, he does not even desire liberation from the so-called material bondage. The devotees of Krishna have no material desires, and therefore they are in perfect peace. Jai Prabhupada.
Jai, isn't that beautiful? Go say a few words. And how does it relate to us in a practical sense? Can we experience that even to some degree?
It's like desires. They may come. You know, you may get some desire for some or concoct some kind of plan or something that you may think will bring you happiness or enjoyment. You know, and you know, this constant desires are coming in. You know, to enjoy or to try to act like independently from Krishna. But the devotee, because he has knowledge that material enjoyment just leads to frustration, leads to ultimately suffering and unhappiness, he kind of, you know, he desists from these material inclinations, because he has knowledge that this is not the real standard for happiness. The devotee knows that the more Krishna conscious he becomes, the more he chants, the more he hears about Krishna, the more he engages in devotional service to the Lord, then the more happy, the more peaceful he becomes. So he realizes that when he's engaged in devotional service to the Lord, he's experiencing superior happiness. So he's experiencing this higher taste. And when the devotee is experiencing this higher taste, he's he becomes fixed in his determination to remain in that situation. And the devotee, he doesn't like to jeopardize his wholesome spiritual condition by engaging in any kind of sense gratification, because devotees, they develop experience over time that if they do certain things, then it can hamper the spiritual condition or affect it. And they don't want that connection between themselves and Krishna to be upset or to be jeopardized in any kind of way. So that helps the person who's pursuing spiritual life and Krishna consciousness to kind of stay fixed in his spiritual activities, because he realizes within himself that this is much better than anything that the material world can offer them.
Jai, Hare Krishna. I couldn't have said it better. Beautifully said. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. You gave a mini class. Beautiful, beautiful. Out of, not the theoretical, out of, I could hear said, out of realization. This comes of realization. And I have the same realization. With knowledge, you mentioned knowledge. So that particular sense gratification may be very attractive, but we have fallen into the trap before. Once, twice, many times. So we know it is attractive now, and if I engage in this sense gratification, afterwards there is entanglement and a lot of unhappiness, and it thinks the situation becomes so complicated. Is it worth it? No. We know we're going to get entangled materially, and we know we're going to be thrown away from our Krishna consciousness. We're going to feel bad afterwards. And so many things, and our peace is disturbed, our Krishna consciousness is disturbed, and the whole situation becomes actually very complicated. That's Maya's trick. She ensnares us and pulls us down and covers us. And so by experience, by knowledge, by practical knowledge, because we have experienced these situations over and over again. So we become a little bit wiser. Why? Even so, that pull of the senses is very strong. But we know 2 steps ahead what will happen. If I agree to that sense gratification, if I agree to it, we know exactly what's happening because it has happened before. So we have experience in devotional service, in material sense gratification as well. It never ends well. Never, ever it ends well. Never is happy ever after. That doesn't exist. That's only a very nice dream. It doesn't exist. That's maybe one of the reasons I used to do some marriages as a priest, but I became very frustrated because as a young couple, they're going all into it and saying we will never part and we stay faithful forever and all these vows. And I knew exactly 5, 10 years down the line there is divorce. Not everybody, but nowadays more than 50% of marriages ending up in broken marriage. So that I lost all. It's just a sham. It's just maybe the couple knows it also somewhere, or maybe they're just so innocently thinking, but life is not like that. So, very nice, Ben. Anyone wants to add something? Amrita Radha Rituan, you want to add something to that? Nice verse, nice purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Very nicely explained by Ben Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Hare Krishna.
Amit, what do you say?
Yes, no, it's a very nice verse. It's quite a powerful verse. It has a lot of meaning.
this is a series of some very powerful verses, isn't it? Including your verse you choose some time back. So in context, there's a statement by Krishna, and then Krishna explains what happens and what, if we don't follow that, what happens then. So he makes it very clear. So this is to help us in our determination in our own Krishna consciousness. Very practical. To get strong in our Krishna consciousness, strong in our determination, strong in our faith, and assisting and helping each other to get that strength. And we'll come to a point where this strength cannot be shaken. And it all centers on following, accepting a spiritual master. It all centers on that. Once, because then it's just like a dog. A dog without a master is a street dog, is completely lost, very unhappy. A dog without a master is very, very unhappy. He has to fight for his food with other dogs, and sometimes he gets bitten by others and they're ganging up on him, and very lonely and very unhappy. But a dog who has a master, the dogs are like that. They can only really develop and function if they have a master. And the master gives all protection, and the master feeds them, and the master is affectionate to them. So same with us. We are the dogs of the spiritual master. But we have to agree. That's all. We have to agree to become the dog of the spiritual master. But we don't like that. We want to keep our independence. We want to be independent. And I've been nobody's dog and nobody's servant. But we don't know, or we might not know, if we become the dog of the spiritual master. How much benefit, how much mercy is coming our way if we actually fully surrender to Guru and to Krishna. Then the exchange of divya gyan, of transcendental knowledge, takes place. And Srila Prabhupada says again and again, one has to find a suitable person to who one can fully surrender. So without fully surrender, keeping the doors open, keeping the back door open, if that goes wrong, then I have some other options. That will not help. We'll be stuck. We'll have to come to that point to find that spiritual master where we can fully surrender to. Basically, becoming the dog of the spiritual master. No independence. Completely dependent. Then we just like the dog. We getting protection, we getting our food. And here, Srila Prabhupada mentions Krishna is looking after all the necessities of his devotees, his surrendered devotees. And we may not believe that. How is that possible? I had some people. How is that possible? Krishna's not paying my mortgage. Oh, yes, he does. He makes arrangements. Of course not. It doesn't mean you sitting all day long on the couch and watching TV and Krishna's paying in that. No, it doesn't work like that. You engage in Krishna's service fully. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gītā, I preserve what they have and I provide what they lack. Which one you know that verse?
He's not sure, Prabhu.
No.
Ben, you know that verse? Let's find that verse. Let's see who's quick.
How does it begin?
I don't know.
What's the first line? I'll look up in the index.
Here it is. Ananyas chintayanto mam yechana paryupasate tesham nityapi yuktanam yoga kshemam vyaham yaham. Yoga kshemam vaham yaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, that's important. Exclusive devotion. Not devotion to Krishna, but devotion also to something else and something else, and so many things we have devotion to. No, one master. We are the dog of Krishna also. Exclusive devotion means no devotion to anyone else, only Krishna. Those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form. So constantly meditating. Manmana bhava mat bhakto. Krishna's name is also his transcendental form, or his deity is his transcendental. Constantly meditating on Krishna. Then he says, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. So not just anybody. We must have exclusive devotion. We must be the dog of Krishna. We must be the dog of the spiritual master. Then he will carry what we lack and preserve what we have. As here, where is it? So here, a Krishna-conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. Here again, Srila Prabhupada, same point. All our material necessities are fulfilled if we have exclusive devotion, if we fully surrendered to Guru and Krishna. Okay. There were a succession of very beautiful verses we discussed tonight. Absolutely astonishing. I'll take something away from that, and I hope everyone else is taking something away from that. Any last comment before we stop?
Yeah, what was that? What was that verse number?
Okay, I'll tell you. That is verse 922. It's a very notable verse. It comes up again and again. To them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Yoga kshemam vaham yaham.
Oh, that's
yes, you got it?
Yeah.
And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada says also, one who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Huh. So we have to come to that point that we are unable to function. It's so easy to constantly think of Krishna, constantly chant his name, always connected with Krishna. Okay, on this note, we stop. And we see you back on Saturday. Yes? Amrita Radhe Mataji Rituan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. And remind me, if Padma wants to do something on Saturday, we will give him the opportunity.
You want him to recite shlokas live, or should I record a video and all?
Live would be even better.
Okay. Yeah, he has learned 21 shlokas of second chapter.
Oh.
So he will recite.
Yeah, a few shlokas. 3, 4, 5 shlokas, something like that. That would be nice.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you on Saturday. And I think we have a fix for our microphone problem on Saturday. We'll have a microphone, and I think hopefully we can make it work and pass it around, and then we won't run into this trouble of not hearing what other people are saying. Okay, thank you for tonight. Hare Krishna. See you Saturday.